Let us welcome to the chemistry crash course. Today we are going to start with the one more new lesson, that is chemical bonding and molecular structure. So, it is one of the very important chapter, chemical bonding. Okay. So, let us come to the definition of the chemical bond. So, as you know, there is a existence of atoms. When the atoms combine with each other, there is a formation of the molecule and there is a formation of the huge number of the compounds. So, why these atoms and elements combine with each other? Why they cannot able to survive alone? For example, when the hydrogen and hydrogen combine with each other, there is a formation of the hydrogen molecule. Why hydrogen cannot able to survive as hydrogen atom only? Why it always wants to mingle with other? So, why it makes the bond with another hydrogen and it forms the H2 molecule? That is the reason which we are going to study here, and let us come with the definition of the chemical bonding. Chemical bonding is nothing but the force of attraction that holds. See here, H2 is there, means the bond is present in between two H atoms. It is the force of attraction that holds the constituent atoms or ions together in a chemical spaces is called as chemical bonding. So, chemical bonding is the force of attraction that holds the constituent atoms or ions together in a chemical spaces. That is what we called as chemical bonding. So, this is the definition of the chemical bonding, and you can take any example of the different compounds which are having the varieties of the bonds. For example, NaCl, NaF, okay, and HCl, H2O, CO2. So, all these are the compounds which are having the chemical bonds. Okay. And then now let us come to the reason why there is a formation of the chemical bond between the atoms or the elements. See here, as I said you, hydrogen cannot able to exist as hydrogen. Why it always wants to mingle with another hydrogen? Why it wants to form the H2 molecule? The reason we need to know. So, what is the reason here? Always the atoms or the elements wants to get the stability by acquiring the minimum energy, and also they want to occupy the octet structure. First one is they want to satisfy with the octet rule, and also the reason is they want to acquire minimum energy and maximum stability. Okay. So, this is the reason why the elements combine with each other, why they will going to form the compounds or molecules. This is the reason. First thing, they want to satisfy with the octet rule, and second one, they want to acquire the minimum energy and maximum stability. So, what is the meaning of octet rule? Octet, the name itself indicates oct, it means 8. If the outermost cell is having the 8 electron, that is nothing but octet rule, and that gives the minimum energy and the maximum stability. That is why all the elements wants to gain 8 electrons in its outermost cell. Okay, they want to obey the octet rule. So, this is the octet rule. So, by getting the octet rule, definitely they are going to have that is minimum energy. If the energy is less, they are stable. If the energy is more, they are very reactive. So, they become stable. They want to become, or they want to get the stability by obeying the octet rule. So, this is how we can explain the reason for the chemical bonding process. Okay. Next, come to valency. Valency is nothing but, as I said you, the elements will going to combine with others to get the minimum energy and maximum stability. That combining capacity is called as valency. Combining capacity. The combining capacity of an atom is said to be valency. Okay. So, now one of the scientists, Cosel Lewis, who approached regarding the symbolical representation of the elements with its valence electrons. So, this is what we can say Coastal-Lewis symbolical representation of the elements. So, how? See here, let us take one example. Lithium, it is an element which is having the atomic number 3. Okay, and we can able to write the electronic configuration 1s2, 2s1. So, how many outermost electrons are there? How many electrons are present in the outermost cell? Here the outermost cell is 2s, and how many electrons are present there? 1 electron is present. So, that valence, this is valence cell which is the outermost cell, and this electron is nothing but valence electron, and that valence electron is represented by the dot. That valence electron is represented by the dot around the chemical symbolical representation of an element. We are going to represent lithium as Li, and then this valence electron is represented as a dot, on the symbolical representation of that element. So, this is the Lewis dot symbol of an element. Only the valence electrons which are involving in the combining process, and those valence electrons are represented as dots. Okay. And if we come across beryllium, atomic number is 4, 1s2, 2s2. How many electrons are there? 2 electrons are there in its valence cell. So, the 2 is represented like this. 2 dots means 2 electrons. Like if you calculate for boron, it will be 1 again, because boron means 5, 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. So, here outermost cell consisting of the 3 electrons. So, it will be having the 3 dots around its symbol. Like this, we are going to represent the Lewis dot structure or Lewis symbolical representation of the elements. This dots indicates the number of valence electrons. This dot indicates number of valence electron, and many times we are going to take this dot as its combining capacity, that is the valency. So, what is the valence of lithium? That is 1. Okay, monovalent. Why it is monovalent? Because only one valence electron is there, that is represented as a dot. Okay. So, this is how. But after carbon, what happens? We are going to take the valency 8 minus that number of outermost electron. So, why it is taken? Let me tell you. Here nitrogen, which is having the atomic number 7. So, if I wrote the electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. So, how many electrons are present in the outermost cell? 5 electrons are present. 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, 5 electrons if you take. But the valency of nitrogen is not 5. The valency of nitrogen is not 5. Definitely it must be made as 8. It is the octet rule. How many electrons are needed for the stability? 8 electrons. 8 minus 5, that is 3. 8 minus 5, that is 3. 3 is the valency of the nitrogen. What is the 3 is the valency of nitrogen? It indicates what? Nitrogen can able to form the 3 bonds. Nitrogen can able to form the 3 bonds. Similarly, carbon has a valency 4, means carbon can able to form only 4 bonds, not more than that. Okay. So, this is how we can take the valency of the nitrogen. It can be carried for the elements after carbon. Okay. If you calculate for the, similarly for oxygen, 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So, here how many electrons are present in the outermost cell? 6. So, we can draw the Lewis dot structure like this. 6 electrons I have represented in the form of the dots. Okay. And then it can be calculated that 8 minus 6, 2. So, it indicates what? The valency of oxygen is 2. That is, oxygen can able to form the 2 bonds, that is divalent or bivalent we can able to say. So, the importance of the Lewis symbol, it gives how many number of electrons are present in the valence cell, and also it gives it contribution to finding the valency of an element. Okay, so this is the use of the Lewis symbol or Lewis dot structure of an element. I hope so you got clear. Next, let us go for the different types of the bonds. In that first one is ionic bond. In that first one is ionic bond. So, what is the definition of the ionic bond? The definition of the ionic bond is, it is the bond which is formed by the complete transfer of the outermost electron from one atom to another atom. So, I said very big definition that I will explain with the example. See here, example for the ionic bond NaCl. Okay. So, it carries the ionic bond. Then I will explain you how exactly it happens. Sodium, okay, sodium, and atomic number is 11. So, configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. Okay. And then for chlorine 17, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p5. So, here 10, 12, okay, 17, it is correct. Now, just look at sodium. If sodium will going to lose this 3s electron, if the sodium wish to lose this 3s electron, means what is the outermost cell configuration? That is 2s and 2p together will be 8 electron. 8 electron gives what? Stability. 8 electron gives what? Stability. So, the sodium wants to lose that 1 electron. Sodium wants to lose that 1 electron. Let us come for the chlorine. So, just look at the chlorine. In the last cell what happens? 3p5 is there. If it gets one more electron, see here, totally 7 are there. If it gets one more electron, it will also get stabilized. By taking one electron, it can able to get the octet rule. It means if you look at sodium and chlorine, sodium wish to lose one electron while chlorine wish to get one electron. Sodium will going to lose one electron, becomes Na plus, and then Cl takes this electron and becomes Cl minus. So, finally, when Na plus and Cl minus combines with each other, there is a formation of the NaCl, which is a ionic bond. Okay. So, here what happens? Ionic bond is nothing but the bond in which the complete transfer of the electron from outermost cell of one atom to the outermost cell of the another atom. Okay. So, this is how we can explain about the ionic bond. Example, you can take NaCl, NaF, all these are having the ionic bond, or you can say that it is the bond formed between the cation and anion. Okay. So, this is how we can explain the ionic bond and its example, the complete transfer of the electron from outermost cell of one atom to the outermost cell of the another atom. And then what are the factors which influence on the ionic bond? See here, one must be ready to lose the electron. One must be ready to lose the electron. It means ionization enthalpy, and one must ready to get the electron, that is electron gain enthalpy. Okay. So, both the here one of the atom must ready to give its electron to get the octet structure, and one more is ready to take the electron again to get the octet rule. So, these are the factors regarding the ionization enthalpy and electron gain enthalpy, which are the factors influence on the ionic bond. Okay. Let us, I hope so you understood what is ionic bond. Next, let us go for the covalent bond. Covalent bond is the bond which is formed by the mutual sharing of the electrons between the atoms. There is a mutual sharing from both the atoms which are involving in the bonding. So, let us go for one example, F2 molecule. Okay. So, fluorine which is having the atomic number 9, 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, and then similarly one more fluorine is also having the 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Okay, just look at the outermost cell, just look at the outermost cell. Here 2 plus 5, 2 plus 5, it means 7 electrons. Our rule is, if it got one more electron means that gets stabilized, if it got one more electron means that will be stabilized. So, that only I will write in a Lewis symbol, so that you can able to understand it very clearly. Fluorine, here also one of the fluorine is there. How many electrons are there in the outermost cell? Totally 7 are there. 2, 4, 6, 1 I will write here, and here also similarly. See, this fluorine needs 1 electron and this fluorine also needs 1 electron. They mutually share the electrons here. So, just look at this fluorine here. Now, it has 8 electrons. Now, it has 8 electrons. Similar, if I look at this fluorine has the 8 electrons. It means both got stabilized, both are having the 8 electrons, both are obeying the octet rule. So, when it is possible? By mutual sharing of the electrons. Okay. So, covalent bond is the bond which is formed by the mutual sharing of the electrons between the atoms in a molecule. Example is F2. Similarly, you can take example for the covalent bond Cl2, and then even you can take H2O. So, all these are the example for the, and even you can take H2. So, these are the example for the covalent bond. Here in case of ionic bond, there is a complete transfer of the electron from the outermost cell, while in case of covalent there is a mutual sharing between the two atoms. Okay. So, let us go for the one more bond, that is a coordinate or dative bond. Okay. Here one of the atom which is electron rich, that can able to donate its electron, it means that acts as a donor, and one more atom which can able to get the electron, that acts as a acceptor. There is a bond formed between the electron donor and the electron acceptor, that is nothing but the dative bond or coordinate bond. See here one of the example, ammonia which is treated with H plus. So, what happens? This is the electron rich, it wants to, that dative bond is represented by a arrow mark. It means this is the, that is NH3 group is donating electron to the H, it is donating. Okay. So, this bond is nothing but dative or coordinate bond. One will be the electron donor and one more will be the electron acceptor. Clear? So, there are 3 types of the bonds which we discussed, ionic bond, covalent bond, and one more is dative bond. In case of dative bond, here complete transfer, here mutual sharing, here also donor and acceptor concept, that is it. Okay. And then let us go for the limitations of the octet rule. As I said you, octet rule means the outermost cell must contain 8 electrons, which gives the minimum energy and maximum stability. But even for the octet rule, there are certain limitations. Certain limitations are there for the octet rule. See here, the compounds which are electron deficient, they cannot able to obey the octet rule. The compounds which are electron deficient like BF3, BF2, these compounds which are electron deficient in its nature, they cannot able to obey the octet rule. So, this is the drawback of the octet rule, we can say. And one more thing, the elements which are present in the third period and beyond that, the elements present in and beyond the third period elements, those cannot able to obey the octet rule. Like for example, PCl5, SF6, those cannot able to obey the one more limitation of the octet rule, that is odd number of the electrons. Suppose the atoms present in the molecule which are having the odd number of the electrons like 7, that cannot able to, like 11, that cannot able to obey the octet rule. For example, nitric oxide NO, which cannot able to obey the octet rule. So here we can say that the atoms or the elements which are electron deficient, it means a less number than the octet, for example 7 I said you. So like that, if those are electron deficient, means those cannot able to obey the octet rule. And similarly, the elements present in and beyond the third period elements, those also cannot able to obey the octet rule, and the atoms which are having the odd number of the electrons, those cannot able to obey the octet rule. So these are the drawbacks of our octet rule. So let us go for the one more concept, that is bond parameters. So that is bond parameters involves the 4 points, which are, one is bond length and bond angle, bond enthalpy, and one more is bond order. So bond length. So bond length is the average distance between the centers of the nuclei of the bonded atoms. It is the average distance between the centers of the nuclei, that is from nuclei of the distance between the nuclei of the two atoms which are bonded. Okay. For example, this is the average distance between the two atoms which are bonded together, and the CC bond length is 154, and the bond length is measured in terms of picometer. The CC single bond length is 154, and carbon to carbon double bond length, this bond length is 133 picometer, and carbon to carbon triple bond, that is 120 picometer. So bond length is the average distance between the nuclei of the two atoms present in the that molecule or that bond, we can say. Okay. CC single bond is 154 picometer, and its unit is picometer, which we expressed. And then next one is bond angle. Bond angle is the angle between the orbitals which are containing the bonded pair of electron around the central atom in a molecule. For example, water molecule you can take. So here this is the bond angle, 104.5 degree. This is the bond angle. So bond angle is the angle between the orbital which is containing the bonded pair of electron. See here, suppose if any atom which is having like this, here whatever the electrons involved, this bond means the electrons are involved here. These electrons are called as a bonded pair of electron which are present in the bond, bonded pair of electron, while there are free electrons outside without any bonding. These are called as a lone pair of electron or non-bonding electrons which are not bonded, non-bonding electrons or a lone pair of the electrons, you can say, while these electrons which are involved in the bonding, these are called as a bond pair of the electron. And bond angle is the angle between the orbital which is having the bond pair of electron around the central atom in a complex molecule. Okay. And the bond angle of the water, that is OH, HOH bond angle is 104.5 degree. Okay. Next, bond enthalpy. Bond enthalpy is the amount of the energy required to break the bond. In order to break this bond, how much amount of the energy is required, that is the bond enthalpy, and it is measured in terms of kilojoule per mole. So in order to break the CC single bond, we need 348 kilojoule per mole. In order to break the CC double bond, we need 619 kilojoule per mole. In order to break CC triple bond, we need 836 kilojoule per mole. this much amount of the energy we require to break the bond. So, the amount of the energy which is required to break the bond is nothing but bond enthalpy. Next, bond order. Bond order is nothing but the number of the bonds which are present in that compound we can say. For example, you can take bond order. See here, the bond order of this CC single bond is 1, because here how many bonds are present? Only one bond is present. If the bond order of this O2, that is 2, how many bonds are there? 2 bonds are there. Or else you can take this one, bond order is 3, because how many bonds are there? 3. So, bond order indicates the number of the bonds, it indicates the number of the bond. See here, one point, higher the bond order, see here, bond order, higher the bond order, higher the bond enthalpy. It means how many bonds are increasing between the atoms, we need more energy to break it. So, as the number of the bonds are increasing, the bond length will be decreased. The bond length will be decreased. That only they have explained you. Higher the bond order, higher will be the bond enthalpy, and it decreases the bond length. So, these are the 4 parameters, that is bond parameters. First one is bond length, next one is bond angle, bond enthalpy, and the bond order. I hope each and every term is very clear for you, and let us go for the polarity of the bond. So, polarity, it means there is a generation of the positive and negative poles. There is a generation of the, that is what we can write, delta positive and delta negative we are going to write, that is partially positive and partially negative. So, let us come for the 2 types of the molecules which we discussed here, which we can able to discuss here. One is polar molecule, one more is a non-polar molecule. So, polar molecule, when the heterodiatomic, hetero means different, diatomic is 2, when the heterodiatomic molecule is there, in that one of the atom which is electronegative, that can able to drag the electron towards itself. For example, you can take HCl. Here what happens? Cl has the ability to drag the electron towards itself, that is more electronegative, so partial negative, while H can get a partially positive. It means the shared pair of the electrons are dragged by the one of the electronegative atom. In such a molecule, polarity is generated, and that a molecule is said to be a polar molecule, we can say. Example, HCl and HF. Even in case of HF, what happens? Fluorine is, as you know, very, that is the high electronegative, it attracts the shared pair of electron towards itself, and it gets the delta negative, while H gets the delta positive. Okay. Suppose in case of non-polar molecule, what happens in case of a non-polar molecules? These are the homodiatomic molecule. Here there is no sharing, that is there is no dragging of the electron, because there is no presence of the electronegative atom. For example, we cannot able to H2, we cannot able to write here delta negative or delta positive, because the shared pair of the electrons are present exactly between those 2 atoms. One of the atom which cannot able to drag that electron towards itself. So, here polarity, that is poles are not generated, these are non-polar molecules, we can say. Okay. So, let us go for the one more concept, that is dipole moment. Dipole moment, it is applicable to the polar molecules, it is applicable to the polar molecules. Dipole moment is the product of the, it is the product of the charge of the one of the atom. E is the charge of the one of the atom and the distance between them. For example, AB is the, this is the molecule you can consider, and one of the dipole moment is the product of the one of charge of the one of the atom and the distance between these 2. Okay. The dipole moment is indicated by the letter mu. And let us go for the application part of the dipole moment. See here, CO2, the linear molecule, CO2 is a linear molecule which is having the dipole moment 0. Its dipole moment is 0 because here the 2 dipoles which are acting, here CO dipole, here this is a CO. the dipole moment is always indicated by the arrow mark like this, okay. And then here this indicates delta positive, this indicates delta negative, that is contributing towards, okay. Here the two dipoles which are acting, those are equal in magnitude, but those are in opposite direction. It will going to drag here, it will going to drag here, the total resultant dipole will be 0, because two are having the equal magnitude, but there is a opposite direction. So what happens, as being a linear molecule CO2, its dipole moment value is 0. Okay. And if I go for the one more type of the molecule like water, so if in case of water what happens, here also two dipoles are there, that is, this is OH dipole and this OH dipole. Here let us look, this is the dipole and this is the, two dipoles are acting, and those two dipoles are equal in magnitude, but those are not in a opposite direction. So the resultant dipole is taken in this way. This is the resultant dipole, this is the resultant dipole, and its that is dipole moment is calculated, that is 1.85, and water is having the bent shape. And even it, by looking this dipole moment, or we can say that the shape of that molecule also we can say this one water has a bent shape, and CO2 which is a linear in shape we can say. And here as I said D is nothing but dBi, which is dipole moment unit dBi, and even it can be expressed in terms of coulomb meter, that is 1 dBi is equals to 3.35 into 10 to the power minus 30 coulomb meter. So this is how we can explain certain terms in our chemical bonding. And next let us go for the one of the important theory, that is VSEPR. VSEPR means valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Valence shell electron pair repulsion theory, and this theory was proposed by the scientists Sedgwick and Powell, and it tells about the shape of the covalent molecule. It exactly tells about the shape of the covalent molecule, and which is one of the very important applications of this chapter. So let us go for the VSEPR theory postulates. Okay. So first postulate, already I said you, electron pair, one is a bonded pair of electron, one more is a lone pair of electron. Okay. So the shape of the molecule depends upon the electron pairs, that is a bond pair of electron and a lone pair of the electron. The shape of molecule depends upon electron pairs, that is lone pair of electron and bond pair of electron. Shortly I am writing. Okay. Next, and these electron pairs will going to repel with each other. There is a repulsion occurs between the electron pairs because the electrons are negatively charged. There is a repulsion of the electron pairs due to same charge or same negative charge. First one is the shape of the molecule depends upon the lone pair and bond pair of the electron. Second one is there is a repulsion occurs between these electrons because those electrons are having the negative charge. And third one is these electron pairs arrange in the space in such a way that to reduce the repulsion, the arrangement is done in such a way that the arrangement is made by electron pairs as much as possible to reduce the repulsion. to reduce the repulsion. They are going to arrange in such a way that the repulsion must be reduced. Okay. And then we can say that always the lone pair interaction is greater than lone pair bond pair than bond pair bond pair. Okay. This I will explain you while during the example solving. So, lone pair interaction is greater than lone pair bond pair and then bond pair repulsion. Okay. And then last one more point we can say here, that is, as the repulsion of the electron pairs is taking place, there is a deviation in its geometry. Deviation in geometry due to repulsion. Due to repulsion. See here, for example, let me take you here in case of water. See here. In case of water, actually the bond angle must be 109 degree 28 minute, but it is reduced to 104.5 degrees Celsius. Why? There is a repulsion occurs in between the lone pair and bond pair. These are the lone pair, these are the bond pairs. As there is a repulsion, it means actually it must be 109 degree 28 minute, but it is reduced. Why it is decreased? Because the lone pair and this bond pair repulsion is more. Because of that, actual bond will going to shift here, so that bond angle will be reduced. So its geometry must be different, but because of the repulsion it is deviated. Okay. So these are the postulates of the VS-EPR theory. First one is the shape of the molecule depends upon the electron pairs, that is lone pair and bond pair, and the second one is the repulsion of the electron pairs due to the same negative charge, because both are negatively charged, and third one, the arrangement is made in such a way that in the space to reduce the repulsion, and here the lone pair repulsion is greater than lone pair bond pair than that of the bond pair repulsion. And last one, there is a deviation in the geometry due to the repulsive interactions. So this is how we can explain very important points in our chemical bonding. The further concepts are continued in our next class. Thank you.